I had a miscarriage on Wednesday. A pharmacist in May refused to fill my medication. My husband and I have been trying for a baby for almost a year. I had made so many lifestyle changes, started reading baby books, was taking my prenatal vitamins, and already seeing a physician about possible fertility issue just in case. Finally, on the 4th of June, I had a positive pregnancy test. My husband and I both cried. It was probably the best day of our lives. We were overzealous, and though we knew miscarriage was an option, you can't convince yourself it will happen to you. We started preparing immediately, buying baby stuff, making lists, and I had a doctor's appointment and my first ultrasound scheduled within days. On Wednesday, my baby was supposed to be 9 weeks and 3 days. We went to the ultrasound and there my baby was. It was there and everything I wanted, even though I could see it, and it seemed so perfect. I felt in my gut something was wrong because the ultrasound tech was quiet. The silence was deafening and I was convincing myself she was quiet because she wasn't the doctor and wasn't allowed to talk about it. After what felt like 10 to 15 minutes of pictures, she pulled the ultrasound back to my baby and zoomed back in. She started talking finally. "And here's your baby. Here's the yolk and the sac. I am so sorry, but there is no heartbeat." She just sat there with my baby on the screen, the probe still in my vagina, as I cried, and all my husband could do is grab my leg. Just she pulled it out and told me she would be back with the doctor. We sat in there for 20 minutes, crying. I spiraled through all the emotions possible: grief, anger, fear, guilt, and denial. I almost convinced myself that once the doctor saw the pictures, he would know the baby was fine and the technician was wrong. The doctor came in and confirmed the baby was not viable. They are able to tell in 2 ways: one by some measurement, I cannot remember what it was, and by not having a heartbeat. My baby was non-viable for both reasons. The doctor talked with us for a long time and was very kind, but it was so confusing and hard. Miscarriage is confusing, and not enough people talk about it. He told me I had a few options. 1. Wait to see if my body miscarries by itself. I was not showing signs of miscarriage, and my baby was still there. He said this could take weeks, and if the process begins, it can take weeks. He said if I do this, I need to monitor for heavy bleeding, extreme pain, cramping, fevers, shortness of breath, and chills. I asked, well, isn't miscarrying going to produce heavy bleeding and extreme cramping? His answer was yes. Then how do I know if I need to go to the emergency room? He said, well, go if you think you need to. If my body did not miscarry itself, I could get sick from sepsis and would put myself at risk and possibly need more emergent care. 2. Take a medical intervention, misoprostol. This will cause the miscarriage, and most of it will be done between 24 and 48 hours. 3. Do A.D.C., a surgical procedure to remove all the tissue. The doctor scheduled me an appointment for the very next day to figure out what we wanted to do. The next day, I was with a new doctor to me, but a doctor they specifically chosen because she had dealt with this with patients before, and she told me she has went through it herself. Wednesday night, I had extremely cramping and heavy bleeding. I believe this was likely my miscarriage, and it had happened naturally. I told the doctor what had happened, and again realized I knew nothing about miscarriages. She said it could have been some of it, could have been none of it. She said I still had the option to wait it out naturally, but again this could lead to its own risks. We talked through all the options again, and my husband and I agreed the misoprostol was the best option. This way we would know what was done and wouldn't have to live in fear waiting. And to be honest, I couldn't live with knowing my dead baby was inside me any longer.